State House brief. On Thursday, the 3rd of June, President Chakwera traveled up north to Luawa Forest to monitor and inspect military exercises by the Malawi Defense Force. He went there in his capacity as Commander-in-Chief of the Malawi Defense Force, and he was very, very delighted to see the kind of training that Malawian soldiers are receiving under the watch of Commander Vincent Nyundwe, and so the President was very pleased to be a part of that exercise, which was really unprecedented in Malawi's history for a president to don the military uniform and show solidarity to the men and women in uniform and express appreciation to them in person. The President is thankful for those that put themselves in harm's way. Malawian soldiers are involved in the provision of national security, not just locally, but even across the region. Later that day, on the 3rd of June, that Thursday, when the President returned from the military exercise, he met with the Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Lobin Lowe, MP, as well as the Minister of Finance, Honorable Felix Mlusu, and the chair of the Board of ADMARC, because the President is very keen, having stated that one of his goals is the food security for the Malawian people. He likes to meet with this trio in order to see what the status is with regard to maize production and the harvest and the protection of the harvest, because the President wants to see to it that the bumper harvest, which is larger this year than it has ever been in recorded history, that is not lost through mismanagement of the reserves. And so he meets with them to see what is being done to make sure that this is the case. On Friday, the 4th of June, the President met with 9 ambassadors from 9 EU countries. Some of these ambassadors to Malawi are based in the country, others are based within the SADC region. So the President, on the back of the political dialogue that these ambassadors and heads of mission were having with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, accepted their request to pay a courtesy call on him, and all 9 of them unanimously expressed encouragement with the direction the President is taking the country, and pledged their support to his administration, particularly because of the President's strong stance in the fight against corruption, as well as his desire to see Malawi make progress towards Vision Malawi 2063, which is for Malawi to become a middle-income, inclusively wealthy country. And so they came to Duntama residence to spend some time with the President, and it was an open and free conversation, and the President was greatly encouraged by the solidarity these 9 European countries under the EU expressed to Malawi on that occasion. Later that afternoon, the President received the 2nd shot of the COVID-19 AstraZeneca vaccine alongside the Vice President, Right Honorable Dr. Saulos Chilima, and both of them are doing well, and they have expressed encouragement for all Malawians to go and get their 2nd dose, and those who haven't gotten their 1st dose to do so as well. Just for your information, the advisory from the Ministry of Health regarding the 2nd dose of the COVID-19 vaccine is that the 2nd dose should be taken no earlier than 12 weeks after the 1st dose. So if you received your 1st dose on whatever date, you need to count 12 weeks and make sure that you do not receive the 2nd dose before the 12 weeks has elapsed. The President received his COVID-19 dose, the first one, on the 11th of March, I believe, and so the 12 weeks for him elapsed on the 3rd of June, and so on the 4th is when he received that 2nd jab, together with the Vice President, who had also gotten his 1st dose on the same day. And so that is the advisory from Ministry of Health, and you are encouraged, if you received your first dose, to make sure you get your second, because it is that second one that makes sure that the inoculation is complete. And so after that, the President addressed a panel of ministers from 3 countries, the country of the United Kingdom, the country of Ghana, and Malawi, who were discussing environmental issues and Malawi's agenda to make progress in matters of climate change. He was invited to address this panel by the Conservative Party of the United Kingdom, and he gave the opening address to this panel discussion on matters of the environment alongside his counterpart from Ghana, and the President considered it an honor to be invited to do so. And on Saturday the 5th of June is when the President moved from Duntama State Residence back to Kamuzu Palace. Kamuzu Palace has been under renovation for the better part of 2 months, if not a little more. And the reason for that is that when the President moved into Kamuzu Palace, he found the building in a terrible state of disrepair, showing years of neglect. And the President made it a point ever since he took office that he was going to strengthen institutions. And state residences is one of the critical institutions in Malawi, and the President was appalled to find state residences across the country in a terrible state of disrepair, showing no sign of maintenance that had taken place for years. And because these facilities belong to the Malawian people, he considered it his responsibility to make sure that he leaves them in a better state than he found them, because he is not the last president to occupy this office, and he wants to make sure that future generations can count on the state residences of Malawi to be in good shape. And so he waited as long as he could at Mduntama for the works to be completed, which they have been completed, and the President is satisfied with the work that has taken place. Leakages that have been sealed, doors that were broken that have been fixed, and so on and so forth. Electrical appliances that were dangerous that needed to be rectified. All of those maintenance works have taken place, and so on Saturday evening the President was able to return to Kamuzu Palace. Now on Sunday the President went to a church service in Area 23, Kuchirinde, at Kafita CCAP, where he delivered some remarks to the faithful there, and he was grateful to be able to worship with the Presbyterians on that occasion. This morning, the President is making final preparations for his trip to Blantyre. He leaves later today, and he will be in Blantyre for the course of the next 4 days, and thereafter he will proceed to Chikoko Bay in Mangochi, and he is going in both of those places on official business. While he is in the south, he will engage in various activities, including the commissioning of Tedzani 4 hydropower plant under the Ministry of Energy. This is one of the things the President addressed in Parliament when he was answering questions last month in response to questions from representatives of the Malawian people regarding the status of energy within the country. And the President announced on that occasion that over the course of the next 4 years, 1,000 megawatts are going to be added to the grid. And this commissioning of Tedzani power plant is one of the projects that the President announced in Parliament was due for completion over the course of the next 4 years towards that 1,000 megawatt target. And so he's going to be commissioning that in the south tomorrow, Tuesday at 10 a.m. And so you are encouraged to follow that closely. And while he's in the south, he will also participate in a high-level virtual meeting in preparation for the UN General Assembly, and this is a high-level meeting under the Ministry of Health regarding the status of the fight against AIDS around the world. In the South, he will also meet the Public Affairs Committee. He will also meet with the Bible Society of Malawi. He will also host Evangelist Andrew Palau, who is scheduled to arrive in the country on the 8th of June. And then he will have a meeting and interface with the Evangelical Association of Malawi, who have requested to see the president and advise him on some of the things that are taking place within the faith community. And so these are some of the activities that the president will engage in, and when he transitions to Chikoko Bay, he will hold other engagements in the eastern region in order to hear some of the concerns and involve the people in the eastern region in brainstorming with him on how those concerns could be addressed. The president is very keen to see development to be spread out across the regions, because this is actually required by the Constitution, and the president is fully committed to fulfilling constitutional requirements such as these. With these few remarks, I leave you in the hands of the press secretary, and we will see you shortly. And thank you from Malawi, from Chitipa to Nsanje. Thank you for the time that you give us to update you on these things, Mr. Press Secretary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Director of Communications, Sean Kampondeni, who also is the Executive Assistant to the President. We will now take some of your questions. Feel free to ask them in Chichewa or in English. May I have your hands, and please introduce yourselves and the media houses that you're representing. Alfred Chaua, Nyasa Times.
Nini mafuso atatu. Fuso loyamba ndiona kuti pa 7 May tinaona maripoti mu newspaper amene adanena anachita koti mtsogoleri wa umodzi apate achisi onena kuti amadzudzula kuti boma siri kuchita bwino, chizungu chawo anena kuti has gone off track. Ndiye anthu kunjakwa mafuso kuti kodi ndiye kuti akuyendera limodzi koma ma alliance partners amenewa, ndiye timafuna tifunse kodi akuyenda bwanji president ndi ma alliance partners yawo. Layamba limene lolo. Lachiwiri ndiona kuti pa February 23, 2021 unduna wa zaboma ng'ono local government udachotsa ogwira ntchito 35 amene kupanga suspend ogwira 35 pa nkhani ya 6.2 billion covid report. Ndiye timafuna tidziwe kuti kodi ndiye tsopano mmene zateromo anthu sadamve china chilichonse kuti kodi zayenda bwanji. Ndiye timafuna timve kuti kodi chitsogolo cha nkhani zimene zili motani tsopano. Ndiye kuti limene ndiye lomaliza. Dzanali taona ndithu maripoti ma newspaper matsamba anthu amagawana ma internet akunena kuti salary ya president akuti yakwera kwambi ayikweza koma kuti sidalengezedwe kwa anthu. Ndiye mwina anthu amafuna kuti kodi nkhani imene akugawana anthu pa internet ndizoona ndiye kuli kufusana kunjako. Ndiye mwina timafuna timvetse kuchoka kuno ngati kuboma zomwe kwambiri.
Sikoma kwambiri Mr. Alfred, chifukwa cha mafunso wanu atatu. Nkhani yoyamba ndiya zokamba za alliance partner Mr. Chisi, Dr. Chisi. Ndimafuna ndinene kunena kuti alliance partners 9 of them amakumana every 3 months. Ndipo ndi opportunity imene amakhala nayo kuti adzikambirana mmene alliance ikuyendera. Ngati ena ngakhale mwina ndi zolankhula timayembekezera kuti akuzogwiritsa ntchito mwayi umene mabwera every 3 months, and chosangalatsa nche kuti akakumana the chair of the meeting amachita rotate. The last meeting amene anachita chair the alliance meeting anali Kamuzu Chiwambo. Koma chisi ndi Malawi ali ndi ufulu ochita comment pa zinthu zina mmene iwo ngati Malawi akuzionera. Ife sitingaletse kulankhula, a president sangaletse kulankhula pa mmene akufunira kuchita comment pa mmene zinthu zikuyendera mdziko muno. Komano to answer your question kuti kodi mgwirizano umene uli bwanji, mgwirizano wa zipani 9 uli bwino kwambiri. Ndipo ngati mungakumbukire bwino a president polankhula ku nyumba ya malamulo adanena kuti mgwirizano umene ususweka, ndipo iwo amene akuganiza kuti mgwirizano umene uwonongeka akungoganiza. So alliance partnership ikuyenda bwino, koma aliyense mu alliance sikuti chifukwa ali mu alliance ndiye kuti is bound kuti asalankhule. Chisi ngati Malawi pochita comment zimene manenazo ali ndi ufulu olankhula, chifukwa malamulo a dziko lino amampatsa aliyense ufulu olankhula pa zimene angathe. Koma ngati pali nkhawa kapena madando pa nkhani ya alliance amakumana every 3 months, ndipo kumeneko ndi a very good opportunity imene Dr. Chisa akuzogwiritsa ntchito ngati ali ndi any concerns in as far as the alliance is concerned. Ndi bwere kufunso lanu lachitatu, tikumva kuti mwati mukumva kuti salary ya president yakwera. Ife kuno ku State House sitimayankha mabodza, and I want to say it again, amenewo ni mabodza, sitili pano kuyankha mabodza. President Chakwera wakhala kunena kuyambira poyambirira kunena kuti he's a servant leader, akufuna kutumikira Malawi, sakufuna kukhala bwana wa Malawi. Polankhula ku manda amalemu Kamuzibanda ananenanso kuti chonde ine ndikufuna ndikhale mtumiki wanu osati bwana wanu. Nkhani ya salary ya president si imachitidwa decide kuno ku State House, amene amachita implement ndi aku treasury ndiye na hotelo. So to answer your question, malipiro a president sana kwezedwe, ndipo a president alibe mphamvu zokweza malipiro chifukwa iwo nda samadzipwezera okha. A president ndi wantchito wa Malawi. A Malawi akadzafuna kuti tiwakwezere malipiro a president pali njira zimene zimatsatidwa. Koma ndimaona ngati kuti kuno State House kusamabwere mabodza chifukwa amene iwo wacha huwa ndi mabodza. Funso lanu la chitatu ndi nkhani ya COVID-19 funds. Ndi President Chakwera amene analamula kuti pakhale audit, ndipo audit iyo inachitika. Audit iyo inali pawiri, a validation audit, ndiye kuti mukumbukira ena ananena kuti apereka maripoti, ena amati tinapereka akuti sanafike. So panayenera kupachidwe validation audit. Kodi amene wapereka maripoti amene anagwiritsira ntchito ndalama kandi ku municipality kandi ku ministry kandi ma cluster amene analipo aja ndi ndani. So that was the validation audit. Then panali investigative audit, kuti aone tsopano kuti kodi ndalama zimene zidagwiritsidwa ntchito kuti. So zimenezo zachitika. Audit ikachitika pamakhala zinthu zingapo, pamakhala amati surcharge, pamakhala refund, pamakhala disciplinary action, ikozokhala demotion, ikozokhala interdiction, ikozokhala dismissal, kapena munthu amakhoza kuchitidwa cleared. Zikatha zonsezo ndi pamene akaona kuti munthu uyu wapalamula mlandu, ndiye pamakhala criminal investigation. Koma President Chakwera amakhulupirira kulemekeza malamulo. So the audit has been done. The audit has been done. Anthu waja malingana ndi labor laws amayenera kuti abwerere kuntchito. Ndiye kuti tsopano apolisi ngati apeza kuti wina adaba ndalama ndi zina zoti malingana ndi kutsatira kwa audit kuja, amakapereka mafailo aja ku office ya Director of Public Prosecution. Chifukwa this was just an investigation, an interdiction. Ndi amakapereka no mafailo aja kunena kuti kafukufuku tapanga, anthuwa amafufuzidwa, nthawi yakwana abwerere kuntchito. Ameneno ali ndi milandu ndi apolisi amene ayenera kukapereka mafailo kwa office ya Director of Public Prosecution kuti azilondoloze nkhanizo. So ngati office ya audit idagwira ntchito, mwinano ineyo ndiku chiteni refer ku apolisi kuti kodi nkhani zimenezi amene apezeka ndi milandu yoti anaononga ndalama zili pati. So I'm going to refer you back to a police, because a police ndi amene no akuyenera kutenga mafailo amene aja kupita ku office ya DPP. Thank you, Mr. Chakwera, for your questions. Let's have Suzo first. Suzo Chitete. I'll come back to you, Mr. Saka, in a moment. Suzo Chitete from The Nation.
Thank you so much, Brian.
Is your mic on?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I have 3 questions.
Yeah.
The first one is from what Sean just said, that the president is back at Kamuzu Palace after renovation, and he says, of course, this is a repeated version that state residences were in bad shape.
Yeah.
And I also repeat my question that government has been allocating funds for renovation of state residences. And of course, you said you can't give us more details for security reasons. I'm interested to know how much will it cost Malawians to renovate all state residences, and are they all or just Kamuzu Palace in terms of renovation? And are you interested to follow the money? Because I know for sure if you go to budget documents, you see that funds were allocated every year for rehabilitation, renovation of state residences. That's my first one. The second one is the government of President Lazarus Chakwera has demonstrated that it will govern on principles of transparency and accountability. And truly, the government has opened up to the media. You are more willing to give out information, and these press briefings that that are done here at State House are an indication of that willingness. Come to OPC, which is the center of government business. They are not open in providing information. The SPC is unwilling, or rather doesn't want to talk to the media. I've personally tried to find out from colleagues. Each one of them say the SPC is unreachable. It doesn't respond to questions. And OPC doesn't have a public relations officer. Could this be sort of a deliberate move to hide information from OPC? Or what do you make out of the arrangement at OPC? Lastly, it was in October last year, President Chakwera traveled to Mozambique, and he met his Mozambican counterpart, Felipe News, where they agreed to reconnect Malawi and Mozambique through the Sena line that goes to Beira. Quite an important project, and after the president showed that high-level commitment, the tender was floated, I think, around November last year. There's no progress from the Malawian side. Mozambique has launched the rehabilitation work, and they've done over 60% of the work. In Malawi, we are taught a contractor will speak for the job, but the usual politics. The progress is nowhere to be seen. Here we have a leader demonstrating commitment, but things can't start. Could this be a case of sabotage to the demonstrated political will. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chitete, for your 3 questions. The issue you talked about, the renovations at state residences. These state residences, as the director has also already alluded to, they haven't been maintained for many, many years. And your question is, if we go into the budget statements, we find that so much money was allocated to the state residences. What was happening? I want to refer this matter to you and the people of Malawi, because these are their monies. The people of Malawi have every responsibility to follow up on their money. Chifukwa ndalama zimenezi ndi ndalama za Malawi. So it's not only us at State House, it's also for the Malawian people, because we are here because of Malawian people. And we should always remember that we are here because Malawian people put us here. So whatever we use it on trust that the Malawian people have given us. So it's your responsibility, Mr. Chitete, it's the responsibility of Malawians to make sure that they follow this money. President Chakwera has also given independence to state organs that they can also work independently in doing their work. And we believe that the officers responsible will help the president in also following this money, because it is the money that belongs to the people of Malawi. The SPC, Secretary to the President and Cabinet, doesn't take questions, doesn't answer the members of the press when they call him. Yes, it is not the duty of the Secretary to the President and Cabinet to take questions from the members of the press. His duty is to be the Secretary to the Cabinet and to the President. The OPC has the ministry responsible for information. The Minister of Information, headed by Honorable Kazako, is there for such functions as the ones you are referring to. So if you want to hear anything concerning the office of the President and the Cabinet, which is the government, take your concerns, take your questions to the ministry, which is under the office of the President and the Cabinet, which is part of government, to take your concerns. So I want to concur with the stand that the SPC is taking. He is not entitled to answer questions from the members of the media. The Ministry of Information is put deliberately to make sure that it conveys all the relevant information. They decide how they should convey that message, which medium they should use, and which forum they should also use. So the Ministry of Information should be able to give you anything concerning the office of the President and Cabinet. President Chakwera is very committed on the Sena corridor. Things have delayed a bit also with the absence of the minister in the portfolio of transport and public works. But as soon as the minister is hired, you'll see a lot of action in as far as the commitment to the railway line is concerned. President Chakwera is committed to making sure that this project is done, not only done, but also with speed, considering that our Mozambican counterparts have also started running with the project. But I can assure you that this project is going to be done. President Chakwera is very committed in making sure that this project is done with speed and also with the necessary attention that it deserves. So it will be done. Things slowed down a little bit because, as I said, there hasn't been any minister. There hasn't been a minister in the office. There is a deputy minister, but some of the things also they need to be done by the minister, despite the fact that there were movements going on. But as soon as a new minister is hired, you will see a lot of action on the same. I can see you are already having your microphone in your hand. Mr. Hapesaka, you have the floor.
Thank you, Brian. Good morning once again. My name is Hape Madikasaka. Brian, I've got 3 questions, but the other one will be a follow-up from my colleague, Mr. Chawa from Nyasa Times. The first question, Brian, on the issue of Malawi's vote at the United Nations Human Rights Council plan. Malawi recently voted no to the recreation of a special commission of the inquiry by the United Nations Human Rights Council, which aims at investigating violation by Israel in the occupied Palestinian territory, including East Jerusalem and in Israel. Brian, local experts on diplomacy have faulted the stance Malawi took, saying in the past the country stayed neutral. Now,
I didn't hear the other part. In the past, the country.
In the past, yes, the country stayed neutral on issues of Israel. Brian, I wanted to find out: is the president and his government tarnishing the image of Malawi with the wholesale support of Israel without looking at the implication of in the eyes of the global community? Secondly, Brian, should Malawians expect this wholesale support of Israel on all issues that involve the Palestinian conflict? The other issue, Brian, is the issue concerning, that's a follow-up from Mr. Jawa, on the issue of the COVID-19 6.2 billion saga plan. Reading recent media reports on the 6.2 billion saga, as of Sunday Times of 6 June 2021, some sectors of the society are doubting government's seriousness to bring culprits to book. These are reports that no single file brand has reached the office of the Director of Public Prosecution. Is the President aware that people think that his actions on the issues are deemed as mere window dressing in the absence of a quick legal remedies by relevant agencies? The last question, Brian, is on the issue of the make commissioners. The President lost a case in which he was dragged to court by his own party, MCP, especially the Secretary General, Honorable Nkaka, in regards to the nomination and appointment of Malawi Electoral Commission commissioners in 2020. Every Malawian is actually looking forward. What would be the next step for the President on this issue? Thank you so much, Brian.
Thank you very much.
I would really appreciate if you also tackle those questions in Chichewa for the sake of our people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I must commend you for bringing these questions also, Mr. Saka. Fusolano la ndiyambe ndi lomaliziralo. A president aluza mulandu ku court. Chifukwa chipani cha Malawi Congress chinawasumira kuti si anatsate dongosolo posankha ma commissioner. Ndimafuna ndinene kunena kuti amene anasumiridwa pa nkhani imeneyi ndi a president opuma apita mutharika. Chifukwa mwina mmudzimu akamamva anthu chipani cha MCP chasumira president sangazimvetse bwinobwino. And I think it's very important that I also ndilankhuleso nkhani imeneyi mchichewa. Chipani cha Malawi Congress nthawi imene chimakasuma pa nkhani imeneyi chimakasumira a president Peter Mutharika chifukwa ndi amene anali pa mpando nthawi imeneyo. Chinakadandaula kunena kuti composition ya ma commissioners sidaende bwino. Chipani cha DPP chidayika ma commissioner 4 m'malo mwa atatu ndi zina zimene anakadandaula kumeneko. Mulandu wabwera pano chipani cha MCP chinasumira office ya president inasumira president chifanda amene anachita hire ma commissioner malingana ndi malamulo a dziko lino. Mlandu umayenera kupitirira chifukwa tsopano Amutharika adachoka pa mpando, koma office imene ikuyankha milandu ndi office ya president. So pamene pompofunika kuti timvetsetse bwino kuti ndi office imene imasumiridwa, ndipo panopa office imene idasumiridwa imene inali Amutharika, panopa office yotsopano ili ndi a president Chakwera. Koda a president Chakwera apanga bwanji? A president Chakwera amalemekeza zigamulo za bwalo, ndipo iwo alemekeza zimene bwalo lanena pa nkhani imeneyi. Nkhani yanu ya ikufanana ndi nkhani imene mwakamba ya mwafunsa imene anafunsanso achauwa ndifunso yankho lake ndi umwene kuti ngati ku office kwa office ya Director of Public Prosecution kulibe file as you are putting it, ndiye let us look at the relevant bodies amene amayenera kubweretsa mafailo akumeneko. I would want to refer you to the Malawi Police Service who are handling the criminal aspect of the same. Nkhani ya Israel versus Pakistan, policy holder, and I want to say that in English and so that I'm also quoted right. The policy holder for Malawi's foreign policy is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And the vote ya Malawi, it is cast, vote ya Malawi on the Human Rights Council, it is cast by the Ministry of Justice. Both ministries have prepared a full explanation on why Malawi voted the way it did. And the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Justice are prepared as we speak right now to take any questions on this matter. Meanwhile, President Chakwera supports President Chakwera's support for human rights for all peoples is unwavering. Let's take Audrey from Times.
Okay. Okay. The first question I want to extend to the issue of the make commissioners.
Yeah.
Yes, I just wanted to find out at the moment, just like you have said, to say the president respect the law. I wanted to find out as we speak, maybe if names of new commissioners have been submitted from the Democratic Progressive Party, if at all the names have been submitted to the office of the president to look into them in as far as getting or appointing other new commissioners is concerned. The other question I wanted to find out, there's this issue of AIP. We have heard the Minister of Finance, Felix Munusu, talking about finding an exit strategy to the issue of AIP. Maybe if you are aware, how long will this subsidy last as we talk of finding an exit strategy at the moment? And another thing I wanted to find out from you, if you remember very well, the president in his SONA, he talked about focusing on 3 issues: creating wealth, jobs, as well as eradicating hunger in the next 4 years. We have seen on the part of eradicating hunger, there is AIP, but I wanted to find out on the part of creating jobs. Maybe if there are any clear strategies or initiatives that are being followed in order to create more jobs, and maybe for this year, how many jobs are you trying to create in as far as this initiative is concerned? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Kapalamula, for your questions. Nkhani, the issue of make commissioners, the court gave specific direction in how it should be handled. They also gave timelines. What is involved is that leaders of political parties that are responsible to bring in names for consideration as commissioners. They have to write to the president, and the court also gave specific timelines on the same. When the names and the appointments are done, the presidency will let you know on the same, given on the guidelines that the court had given also on the same. The issue of AIP, is it sustainable? The Chakwera administration is currently also looking at other avenues in helping Malawians get cheap fertilizer apart from AIP. I may not be able to tell you what they are doing, what the administration is doing, but the most important thing is that Malawians should be able to buy fertilizer at a cheaper price. How that is done, whether it is done through AIP or any other means that can be looked at, that will be communicated to Malawians in due course. But be assured that President Chakwera is committed to making sure that Malawians get fertilizer at a cheaper price. And that commitment is very important to the presidency of President Chakwera. The other avenues on how we can achieve the same without necessarily using AIP, that we will let you know. But the Chakwera administration is very busy looking at also how best Malawians can buy and access fertilizer at a cheaper price. For Solomon lofunika kuti neneso mchijewa kunena kuti kodi AIPU mwina akhozoka ndi strain pa nkhani ya makobidi budget kodi zimenezi tiyenda mtunda onsewu zaka zonsezi. Ndimafuna ndinene kuti cholinga cha President Chakwera nkuti mulimi kumudziko athe kugula kupeza fertilizer more cheaper, and kayatidzera njira ya AIP, kayatidzera njira zina paka dali pano boma la Chakwera lili mkati mowunika njira zina zimene tingagwiritse ntchito kuonetsetsa kuti Amalawi apeze fertilizer more cheaper. Koma President Chakwera akukhulupirira kuti njira imodzi imene tingathane nayo ndi njala ya chaka ndi chaka nkuti Amalawi adzikhala ndi fertilizer wabwino komanso wapamtengo wabwino, and you can even see kuna kuti chaka chino Amalawi akolula mokwanira. Budget ikukamba kwambiri za AIP ndi zina zotero, koma pankhani ya job creation sizikuoneka. Everything else in the budget, it's about wealth creation. The reason why we are having the budget is kuti we should uplift Malawians kuchoka ku muyezo wa mphawi umene uli pano kuti akhala odzidalira. So we at State House doesn't concur with your assertion kunena kuti everything is about AIP and there is nothing on wealth creation. China chilichonse chimene chikuchitika ndi budget iyo nkuti Amalawi achoke mu mphawi. So we don't agree with your notion. President Chakwera is committed also in making sure that we improve, we move the Malawian people to the middle class, so that by the end of the day we should be anthu amene tikhozokhala ndi zinthu zoyenerera ndi kuchoka mu mphawi. Well, on that note, we conclude this week's edition of the State House brief. The next edition of the State House brief will take place on the 21st of June, the year of our Lord 2021. I would like, on behalf of President Lazarus Chakwera, and indeed on my very own behalf, and on behalf of State House, I would like to sincerely thank you. You don't get tired with us. Every time we have these meetings, you always come, and would like to take that at heart, and also thanking you, members of the press, for coming to the palace this morning. We'll be leaving for Blantyre, as you heard from the director, and we hope to see you when we return. And those of you who are traveling to Blantyre, we will hope to see you in Blantyre. And wishing you the very best of the day, and thank you very much.